been asked by a guy called Charlie a pretty simple question about marker float setup and what sort of rod he should be using and stuff like that. Now, you can use pretty much any rod you like, but what I will say is that it's got to be stiff enough really to cast a lead of at least 3 ounces, or maybe 4 if that's what you prefer. But personally, I like a 3 ounce round pair like this. When casting it out, I just feel as though that plugs in and hits the bottom nicely. The large surface area seems to fill the bottom quite nicely. Now, touching on the rod setup again, it's not so important about the rod, it's more important about the line that you're using on there. Now, I know Charlie says he was using 18-pound line. Now, that's something I probably wouldn't use if it's a monofilament line that he's using there. And what you really want to be achieving there is to be able to feel that lead rattling across the stones down the rod tip. Now, for you to be able to do that, you really do need to be using a braid on there. The monofilament, whilst it's being stretched and pulled across these features, will absorb a lot of the shock down the line there. Previous things that I've noticed about what other people do and what you'll probably see in the magazines, it's sometimes a little bit misled, to be honest with you, because what I've seen is that some people tie, you know, an 8 or 9 or 10 inch boom section to the lead there and have a big ring on there and have that sliding up and down the line. Now, yeah, don't get me wrong, that works and you can cast it out, you can feel the bottom with it, but it kind of deceives you a little bit because you can still pop that float up whilst that is in weed. Now, I mean, in the past I've gone across to my mate and said, can I borrow your marker float set up, and he's had the boom section on there. I've cast it out and pops it up out there, and on casting out a baited rig and winding in quickly just to check the hook, etc., I've pulled weed in on there, and I believe that's just due to the fact that you're popping that up in a bit of sparse weed and it's not really giving you a true indication of what you're fishing over. It'll tell you if it's gravel or soft stuff, but it won't tell you if you've got strands of weed growing there, because it's so easy to pop the float up. And what I do is just so simple, and people say to me, you know, blimey John, you know, how do you get your float to come up like that? I mean, with a simple lead on the line, a bead, and then the float tied to the end, when you cast that out, obviously the float and lead are together, and when that hits the deck, it's self-explanatory really. Obviously, if you're in thick weed, you're not really going to be able to pull that along, but if you bump it out of the weed and you jerk the rod back like that, you know, as you're coming in, and bonk, you can feel that down. If you pull that along, and that does pull along quite nicely, and you're able to freely allow the float to pop up, you can certainly guarantee that you're on a much clearer spot than what you would find if you'd used a link on the lead there. So as I say, it's not so much about the rod. You know, you need to use the right braid, and try not to use it with the boom section on the lead, because although it'll take you a lot longer, in all honesty, to find that clear spot, and it will be a little bit more fiddly, you know, you're not cheating yourself, and you'll certainly be popping that lead up in more clear areas if you don't use that boom section.